you knew Christ?
No purpose and no meaning.
And no meaning. So we're going to talk about this a little more, but you'll begin to notice that a lot of the statements that we've had about people before they knew Christ it was all centered around who they are and their lack of identity. And I think it's so common nowadays that we're in a stage in our life as teenagers. I'm not a teenager anymore myself, but we're all in a stage of our life where we were teenagers. I was a teenager once, and where we have to find out who we are. We have to find our identity. As children, we're told who we are. We're given a name. We're given who we are. Our parents kind of guide us along the way. But as we get into the teenage years, we begin to question a lot of that. And we're going to talk a little bit more about why we question these things and who we truly are. So with that, we're going to go on to the next question. So obviously, each of you, as I said, has accepted Christ. And that's not to say that now your lives are perfect. Obviously, we all still fall. We still stumble. We still lie. We still have sin in our lives. And God talks about sin. Sin is literally just rebelling against God. So we all still, even though we're Christians now, rebel against God. I know I do myself. So what is one thing that made you realize you wanted to accept Christ as your Savior? And this doesn't have to be one sentence. You could bullet point list it if you like. Just keep it short, keep it concise. One thing that made you realize that you wanted to accept Christ. Michael.
One of the things that I remember is I wanted to be in heaven.
Okay. Who can agree with that? You want to be in heaven. Some of you might not agree that heaven exists, but let's just pretend for a second that it does. Would you want to be in heaven or would you want to be in hell? I mean, I think every single one of us, if we had the option of being tortured, whether you believe or not, or being in heaven, we would all choose heaven. Carlos.
What made me become a Christian and accept God is because I was depressed. Okay. You know, just basically sad all the time. I was frustrated, and on the outside, I was just fake a smile.
That's it. Katie?
I would say it was the weight of the reality of where I was gonna go, the reality of my destiny. That's what I said last time, right? Like, it was the reality of my destiny. So like when you get to can I go a little bit more?
Yeah, go ahead.
Like when you get to a certain age, and it's like and a lot of us humans go through stuff. So like when you go through something, and it's like, bruh, how am I gonna do this? How am I gonna do this? Like, how's this gonna work out? That weight just hit me. So it's like, okay, bro, where you finna go if something happens? So that reality of my destiny hit me. So that's what
Destiny, yeah.
Yeah.
How many of you can say with absolute certainty that you know your destiny for the rest of your life? Not just after you die, your destiny, but how many of you can say with absolute certainty that you know what some of you might be able to say, oh, I know what I'm going to do when I wake up tomorrow morning. I'm going to come to school. I'm going to go home. I'm going to relax. Maybe I have plans to go somewhere, do something with some friends, family, something like that. In the short term, destiny isn't really on our minds, but in the long term, where do you know exactly where you're going to be 30 years from now? You know exactly where you're going to be 5 years from now. You might have some ideas. Oh, I'm going to be in college, but you know exactly which one. Maybe you got accepted into college. That's great, but maybe things are starting to get foggy. And the further into the future you look, the more foggy things are. What's going to happen when you're 80? Is your wife still going to be alive? Is your husband still going to be alive? Are you going to be married, single? Are you going to be going through things? Are you even going to be alive? Are you going to be alive tomorrow? I mean, we don't think about the immediate present. Tomorrow, we assume that we're going to be alive. But we're not guaranteed that. We're not guaranteed life. When we go home after school today, or even in this classroom right now, we're not guaranteed life. So destiny is something that we can easily ignore, because in the short term, it's so easy to ignore. But in the long term, we begin to realize the importance of our destiny. Yasmin.
I decided to change because I wanted to make a change in the world. Before I was a Christian, I would see how things were just so disoriented, and how they were so twisted and wicked, and how people would say stuff. They still do, but how people just say stuff and do stuff that would affect other people and hurt other people's feelings, and they would just do whatever they wanted, not caring the effect upon it. And so I decided to change because I wanted to make a change. I've said it before, I wanted to be somebody different. I didn't want to just be part of the crowd and just flow and just be what everybody else is. But when I did accept God in my life, He gave me identity. He gave me who I was, and I live for a purpose now. And that's why I wanted to make a change.